A historic night in downtown Omaha. We go all around the country in college basketball as we enter the zone. Only 8 days away from the end of this month in February before we get to March. Only 25 days out from Selection Sunday for the NCAA tournament in 2024. And it felt like March last night in downtown Omaha at the CHI Health Center in downtown Big O. Top 15 tilt, 15th ranked Creighton hosting the number one team in the land, the UConn Huskies, who had won 14 straight games. This week named the first unanimous number one team in the AP poll all season long. All 62 votes go to Connecticut. The defending national champs had a rough night in Omaha, and Creighton shut the lights out of the basketball. 85-66. The Jays roll and win outright as a 2.5-point underdog. The first ever victory for Creighton, Donnie, over the number one team in the country in program history.
Yeah, the handicap yesterday for me, Ben, wasn't from a side perspective because, UConn was in a tough situation. We always see how professional sports play out, and quite frankly, college as well. You get that big emotional victory at home, you're riding high, then you go on the road in a different environment across the country to play a quality opponent, and they come back and get you. Now, granted, 85-66, I didn't see that coming here. Maybe a close win for the Creighton Blue Jays. Maybe even UConn pulled that one out. But I did actually like the under in this game, and quite frankly, it worked out just for one side, chasing teams off of the three-point line. Creighton can do that. They did a great job, 3 of 16 here, defending against UConn. But the question is, when you're at home, we know this, Ben, you shoot better at home than you do on the road, particularly in college basketball. 14 of 28 from three-point range, and the UConn Huskies have been known to play good defense at the perimeter on the three-point line, forcing you to try to score down low. It didn't matter. You shoot 50%, and when you shoot close to 30 total three-point shots, you're going to do damage, and they did that running away. You got that first half lead, 43-29. You didn't let it slip here. That's a great win by Creighton here, and a big-time win for the Big East here outside of UConn.
It is really interesting, right? A short turnaround for UConn, 14 straight wins. Would that carry over all the way into March in the NCAA tournament? You actually hope not. You'd rather get hot and build a new streak at that point than try to win 26 straight games or whatever it would be en route to a second consecutive national championship. UConn will be just fine, but the part I find interesting, Donnie, is the margins we have seen in these monumental Big East matchups in the last 4 days. On Saturday in Hartford, Connecticut riding high, 14th straight win, 81-53 over fourth-ranked Marquette, a 28-point margin, the most ever we have seen between two top five conference opponents in the history of the AP poll. And then UConn goes on the road to the Big O, and Creighton wins by 19. They haven't been the most exciting games coming down to the wire here in these monumental tilts in the Big East. Creighton, meanwhile, an underdog for the third time this year. They were 0-2 against the spread entering last night. They get the outright victory. UConn, in its last 10 seasons, since last beating a ranked team on the road in January of 2014, 0-21 against ranked foes on the road. But you'll take that if you've won 2 national championships in that span as well. A huge victory for Creighton, a team to pay attention to as we get to the NCAA tournament. Ryan Kalkbrenner, the man down low for CU. Stephen Ashworth, the Utah State transfer, 5 of 13 from deep last night. 20 points for Ashworth against Connecticut. Meanwhile, the Huskies, again, will be just fine. 24-3 is still the mark for UConn. They are still the favorites to win a national championship at a plus 500 price. They were minus 104 yesterday, Donnie, to reach the Final Four. An odds-on favorite in February to get to the Final Four. They move back slightly to a plus 125 number.
Yeah, and by the way, also, a guy like myself who haven't bet any futures just yet on the UConn Huskies, you got to like this. Like, if you say, you know what, I know how good a basketball team they are. Yes, you're going to take losses in the regular season. You play in a very, very good conference. So how about another loss in the regular season for UConn for me? How about a second-round exit in the Big East tournament as well? Because then those 5-1 prices, Ben, turn into plus 650, plus 750, plus 850. And if you like him, you get him at a better shot here. I don't think anybody's sitting back on, you know what, Ben? I don't know if I'm sold just yet on UConn. Let me see them run the table the rest of the way in the Big East and also the conference championship. And then when that price is plus 350, now's the time to take them because they're hot. No, we think opposite here. Give me a couple losses down the stretch. Give me the 8-1 price. I'll jump right back in on UConn and have a great time with it.
I don't think there's a lot of value in the national title odds anywhere right now because you're getting numbers that you would see by the time we see the bracket revealed when the path to a national championship and Final Four is more important than what your seed line is or what your regular season record was. So I agree with Donnie. Have that price grow a little bit longer for Connecticut and have full belief that the Huskies have been as dominant this year as they were a season ago. Certainly in that 6-game run to a title last April in Houston. So as we keep it rolling, we go to the top 25 tilt in Provo. 25th ranked BYU, 11th ranked Baylor. BYU closes as a 4.5-point favorite. A total of 153.5 stays just under. But the Cougars bounce back from a dismal loss over the weekend in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. They shot the three better last night, 14 of 36, 78-71. The victory for BYU over Baylor. They cover as a 4.5-point home favorite.
How many times do we talk about it, Ben? The ultimate equalizer is that three-point line. Just take a look at Baylor. If I would have told you before this game, hey, Ben, by the way, I already got the advanced statistics here on this game. Check this out. Baylor's going to go on the road and shoot 49% as a team from the floor. You probably think they win that basketball game going away, but they only shot 5 of 20 from three-point range. Vice versa for BYU, shooting close to 40% as a team from three-point range and knocking down 14 three-point shots. That's what happens in college basketball. That's why the analytics come in and say, hold on, how can we be so dominant? You just need to make your three-point shots. And also, Ben, at times during the season, coming into conference play, the best three-point shooting team in the nation was the Baylor Bears. But now getting into Big 12 play, we've talked about this already. They haven't been that same type of assassins behind the arc as we've seen previous. Now, they've had some good shooting nights, yes, but again, it reared its ugly head. 5 of 20, only shooting 25% from the three-point line. That's going to get you beat specifically against a team that loves to shoot the three-point shot, shoots it at volume, and makes it at volume as well. Big win for the BYU Cougars, but I'm still waiting for that Baylor Bears shooting operation to sort of get untracked once again, same way we saw it back in November and December.
A combined goose egg for Ray J. Dennis and Jacoby Walter last night for Baylor from deep, 0 of 7. Baylor returns home to Waco on Saturday, where they will host second-ranked Houston, a huge one in the Big 12. We now go out to the Mountain West, where like Houston experienced on Monday night at home against Iowa State, we saw a similar scenario in Logan last night between Utah State and San Diego State. Two teams entered with the same record in Mountain West play for that top spot, tied at a 9-4 clip. Utah State now 10-4. San Diego State now 9-5. The Aggies take sole possession of that first place spot in the conference with a 68-63 victory. The unranked team, Utah State, was a 2.5-point home favorite against the ranked team, SDSU, and that unranked home team covers a short spread, winning by 5.
Yeah, gutty battle here, staying under the totem, probably rightfully so. We talked about how good both of these teams were on defense yesterday, with San Diego State being the number one team in the Mountain West there on defensive with efficiency here. Take a look at the three-point line. Didn't help neither one of these institutions out here, either one, I should say. 3 of 19 for San Diego State, 7 of 22 for Utah State, but this is just returning the favor. San Diego State got them the first time around. Utah State gets them back. They're now 10-4, the Utah State Aggies here. Looking good here, maybe with a regular season conference championship on the horizon, Ben.
A very hefty favorite now at -195. SDSU entered last night as the slight odds-on favorite to win the Mountain West. Now to the trend. When you see a home team booked as a favorite who is unranked against a ranked opponent, they are now 7-3, both straight up and against the number in the month of February. We tell you to read the lines. Read those lines.